people also have a lot of questions on is how do I use my credit wisely? Because there's a lot of different options out there. There's all sorts of waivers and offers that come in the mail. I'm sure you get bombarded with different offers, even in your email and all of those types of things. And so we want to talk about using credit wisely. And you want to understand what is good debt versus bad debt. You know, racking up a bunch of store credit cards, sometimes the system, they put a red flag through that, and it doesn't have as good of a positivity because it's looked at and said, did they just not plan for everything? Is it just, you know, I want it now and I'm going to try to pay on it later, but now they're going to have interest and everything else? Is it going to, you know, cause an issue? Bad debt, you know, payday loans, I know sometimes it feels like that's the only resort, but that is so expensive that it impacts your ability to save and it impacts your ability in other ways. And so kind of looking at what is a good debt, you know, your mortgage, your car payment, personal loans. Having a couple of credit cards can be, you know, a positive thing if you're keeping the balances relatively low. Another thing to do is review your credit report. You know, I think one of the things that is really impactful there is that about 60% of people do have errors on them. And there's a law that was passed to give you access to be able to do this every year. If you go to annualcreditreport.com, when you pull your own credit, it does not impact your score. It is only seen as, hey, I'm just checking to make sure it's accurate. The only thing that will drag down your score is if you have a bunch of inquiries of actually requesting credit. Because the system says, why do they need all this credit all of a sudden? You know, did they lose their job? You know, is there something going on that they're just like constantly having to borrow? That all calms down over time, but, you know, in the meantime, it does have a slight negative impact. But as far as you pulling your own credit and reviewing your own credit report, no impact at all. It's called a soft pull. And so you can do this as often as you want. Now, the annualcreditreport.com, you don't get a score, but you get the report, and that's the most important thing because you got to see, is everything on there correct? Is it accurate? All it takes is somebody with a similar name, a social security number that's one digit off that can really impact everything that gets put on there. So you want to make sure that it's correct. You also want to do handling debt problems, you know, making sure that did something show up there? Did a medical bill randomly show up that I thought I had cleared up, but, you know, maybe it was the physician charge instead of the hospital charge. I mean, you know, that's kind of stuff has happened to me before. And so taking a look at what's showing up as collections, how much debt is actually out there, trying to pay down balances as much as possible. About 30% of your credit score is how much your balance is in relation to the limit. And anything over 50% is negatively impacting. So in layman's terms, if you were to have, say, a $1,000 limit credit card and you're carrying more than $500 on that card, it's negatively impacting your score. So you want to make sure that, you know, you're paying things down as much as possible as well. So when you're really trying to use your credit wisely, you know, really digging in there, making sure it's accurate, making sure that everything's paid on time, making sure the balances are lower and that, you know, you're carrying some good debt.